just pick one. You can't just pick two. Oh no, you gotta pick three, or we ain't picking you. 3 Pics. The podcast.
Hello and welcome to the 3 Pics podcast. This is the movie podcast where each of us pick 3 movies in a particular category and we discuss. Right now, I am joined by my co-host. People are saying he is actually nuts. This is Clint Tomerlin.
Hey, how's it going?
And I am your other host, Chris Kennedy. I teach yoga, I love movies, and I drink beer. That is about it. I believe we are now within the top 500,000 of movie podcasts on Spotify.
Just barely.
Yeah, we are climbing the charts, Zero listens, actually, but we are climbing the chart. All right. We want to start out this episode. This episode is actually all about the Oscars. And we have always each year felt that some things just have not been right. That the Oscars just generally fuck up some things that are so obvious. And we have decided to do something about it. So we made a podcast. And this podcast is the great renomination of 2026. If we make it to at least another year of doing this, next year we'll have the great 2027 renomination. All right. But let us get started just with a little bit of discussion. There's so many things going on in the world of movies, the business of movies right now. And the biggest thing probably on everybody's minds that cares about this art form, this business, is the Paramount Netflix merger. They originally came out, had a deal with Netflix. Everyone that was on the inside, every podcast I listened to said, this is not going to be a thing. This is not going to be a thing at all. The CEO of Netflix went out and did a roadshow of different things, promising the theatrical windows, all this stuff. And then guess what? Last week, things fell through. And not only is Netflix going to, or is Warner Brothers going to Paramount, but Netflix got to walk away from that deal with something like $2.6, $2.8 billion just for having been a part of it. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'd make that deal.
Hell yeah.
Damn good deal. I am very sad, though, to see the ever marching progress of corporations and conglomerations just turning into monopolies that don't care about art or real creativity. I think we need to talk more to everyday people about. I don't think you realize how much this is going to affect your couch time. I don't think you realize how this affects the amount of movies and shows that are going to be produced, the amount of layoffs in an industry that's already had so many layoffs. It's just, there's not many positives. A silver lining would be some of the other studios, maybe, kick it into overdrive because they're seeing a moment, to kind of or an opportunity. But it really sucks to think that one studio could own so many franchise decisions and so many decisions that Warner Brothers, which we'll talk about in this episode, they had a banner year last year. It was incredible.
Oh yeah,
some of the best movies were put out by Warner Brothers last year.
Literally, the top 2 movies that are vying for Best Picture right now: One Battle, Sinners, both Warner Brothers movies.
Yeah, and then both filmmakers that with Coogler getting a crazy deal, which is awesome. Paul Thomas Anderson, they knew that One Battle After Another wasn't going to necessarily make the money back of its budget. Because it's such a big budget, like $100 and something million movie. But, they took that chance, and now that's a movie, both of those movies people will be talking about for the next 30 years. They're just instant classics. So it's really head scratching to go from that to and then now by 2027, that just might go away.
Yeah. And I can't speak to insider business, creating shareholder value, all of these things that they say are, well, no pun intended, paramount for them.
Ayo.
I can't speak to those things. I'm not a business person. In fact, I absolutely despise business talk whatsoever. If you start any sentence with, this is how we create shareholder value, shut up. This deal, none of this is about making better movies.
No.
If the whole purpose was, hey, we're going to combine forces and we are going to hire more people, bring more people on board, we are going to spend more money to create not only better quality movies, but more quantity of movies. That would be one thing. But this is not about that in any way, shape, or form. And what I can speak to are the ways in which it is more than likely, it's not 100% said and done, but the way it's more than likely going to affect me, an average, or above average movie watcher, cinephile. It is not out of the realm of possibility that the Warner Brothers catalog, that there are movies that you may never see released on physical media ever again. Warner Brothers is now becoming a part of Paramount, which this is not a political podcast in any way, shape, or form, but Paramount, that whole group, are owned by people that are very cozy with the current administration.
Yeah.
And it is not out of the realm of possibility from what you have seen them do with like Jimmy Kimmel and some of those things that they start to edit out or hold back or discontinue the availability of movies that may not be in line with their ideological viewpoint.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing to me.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, but you turn on your TV now. I have a smart TV. I hate to sound like the old guy, but it is not such a smart TV. But I am just constantly barraged with ads. And the only thing that's on the front screen of my TV are the streaming services, which I have taken a no streaming challenge for the first part of 2026. That is not working out so well because, and the reason is that many of the movies I want to watch are just simply not available anywhere else.
Yeah.
If I want to watch, Knives Out, I have to have Netflix, or at least the latest movie. And I found myself really struggling to not subscribe to the services. However, whenever you get into those services, it's not like you just can pick out any movie you want to see. I don't know if this is your experience, but you go down the categories and there's all these kind of crazy off the wall categories, very specific categories. They all recommend the same damn 20 fucking movies.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. And Paramount is incredibly good. Their Paramount Plus sucks balls.
It's a bad service.
And so the thought that all of the Warner Brother titles, think about this. Warner Brothers, HBO Max, which to me has been one of the top-ish streamers out there. Love the TV shows, love the selection of movies. That is now going to be curated by the people at Paramount. And that scares me.
Yeah. Again, I just struggle thinking of a positive way to spin it. The only thing I can hope for is really that it gets the merger somehow miraculously just doesn't happen, that the government steps in. I don't think that's likely because, as you said, it's they're pretty cozy with the administration, and that a deal like this will take a long time. It'll really be next year that anything gets finalized. So I don't know what that looks like because it's still a Trump administration at that point. And there's a news aspect to this that CNN would would also be a part of that. And so, and I know a lot of people don't like CNN in the same way that they don't like Fox News, that they say it's biased. It's like, okay, sure, like there's some biases there, biases. I've heard it both ways. But when you consolidate news organizations, that doesn't get better. Like, it's not, if your problem is a biased viewpoint, well, that's not going to get better. Yeah. So there's just not a lot of good stuff with this. It's a bummer. People need to be protesting this, like average 100%. Americans.
This is just like Aliens versus Predator. Do you remember the tagline?
No.
No matter who wins, we lose.
That's right.
I think that is the absolute perfect tagline for this situation.
And it's apt that Predator's in the title. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's so sad because, like I said, movies are none of this sways business people. And there's so many people that are running these things that just do not give a shit about movies, do not give a fuck about the art form in any way, shape, or form. And their primary motivating driver is going to be, how can we make more money? How can we save more money? How can we do things quicker, better, stronger, supercharged with AI? And that's going to mean a ton of people are going to lose their job. The quality of stuff is going to go way down. And I just don't trust any of these people when they say, oh, yeah, we're going to keep a 45-day theatrical window.
No.
As if that is something that I want. I don't want that. I want a 90-day theatrical window.
Yeah, I would settle for 60 at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, we can meet in the middle. It's always the people that think they have the best ideas in the room that never do, and that's just what it seems like with these executives, like it's weird because you have to have money to make art these days, like most art, like movies specifically. And so it is a necessary evil, like it always has been, like that tension between studios and executives and creatives. Even worse, the more decisions they make in this direction, like you are further putting creatives in a position to be antagonistic towards executives, to where there's not a good working relationship, or you only see the creatives that are good at licking boots, to get their stuff done. So it's a tough position to be in. Get involved, don't be in the dark about this. Like learn about it, tell people, like, man, did you hear? That's pretty fucked up, huh? Like, imagine if you could only go to Burger King. Like, that sucks. Like,
oh my word!
Like,
my
let's put this
skin
in
just
terms,
crawled.
Doom and gloom aside, movies are great. We're just two guys who love movies. This podcast, as you can hear, there's rough edges. This is a very new thing that we're getting into for the love of the game, and that's the kind of people that we want listening, is people that just love movies. And so if you love movies, you care about this. And also, if you love movies, more than likely, you have strong opinions about the Oscars. So with the Oscars coming up on March 15th, which is so late I feel like this Oscar season.
We're way too late. We're a quarter of the way into the year.
It's crazy. Like, it needs to be in February at the latest.
Do you have this problem? The gap between January and the Oscars, whenever it is, I'm in full on watching every single awards movie I can find, get my hands on. And I often will ignore a lot of newer releases at the beginning of the year, because I am making sure that I have watched everything with a microscope.
Yeah.
With the Oscars being, what is it, March 15th?
Yeah.
March 15th. Why?
I don't know. It's crazy.
And I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I believe that the Academy Awards should be first. We've almost made, I don't know, maybe it is, you've made an entire business out of awards season talk. And this, I don't know if like somebody is making billions of dollars off of all of this, but there does not need to be a 3-month gap. We need to get all the movies out whenever we can in 2025. And instead of all of these precursors and poly markets and, guys making podcasts about it, why don't we just get it said and done with at the beginning and then leave the surprises for the Guild Awards? And that way the Academy Awards is a bit of surprise, because as it stands right now, in almost all the major categories, you can basically, it's going to be one of two people in most, or movies in most categories. And it gets to be a little long-winded being this far in. I'd be happy with like a January show, but I'm getting a little tired of lengthy award seasons, because really this started back in November. back in October even. I mean, one battle was September?
Yeah.
And
Question mark.
Sinners came out almost a year ago.
Yeah.
We're pulling another Everything Everywhere
all at once.
Nothing, Everything, all those things
I love
at
that
many
movie.
times. That whatever that movie's called.
That's just how I would describe to my high school friends how it went with my imaginary girlfriend. I was homeschooled, by the way. So I think the Oscars taking too long for sure. I think your average movie fan just gets checked out. It's like, okay, like why are we still talking about this? Like, so they need to move it up. I do think I know the Oscars, they don't matter. It's all bullshit, and art, so much of art is subjective. You know, there's an objectivity to the craftsmanship, but most of the movies that get nominated, you're like, yes, they're well-made movies. Like every now and then something squeaks in that you're like, that's kind of dog shit. That's surprising. But for the most part, they're well-made. So I inevitably, I'm like, yeah, good movies, but what about these other movies? What about these other performances? And so that's the idea behind today's pick 3. Is what were 3 nominations that didn't happen that we would renominate. The rules being that you have to, if you nominate something, then you have to remove one of the already nominated movies or performances in that category.
Cut out of there.
So you can't just say, this should have been nominated. It's like, okay, it should have been, and I would take out this. So, sorry, just some different movies and performances, but we're going to go there.
All right, this year's nominees for Sound 2026 Academy Award nominees include F1, boring. We'll talk more about F1 later.
Room.
Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Surratt. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started with Chris's first pick, number 3. When I saw this movie in the theater, I was absolutely blown away by the sensory experience. Did not expect it, did not know much about it, and it is a damn sin that this movie not only did not get nominated, it didn't even make the short list. And this is Warfare, and I'm putting Warfare into the best sound category, because this movie is nothing but sound. It is absolutely a barrage on your ears, your senses, in so many different ways. And the movie that I'm going to take out from best sound is, in my opinion, the absolute drizzling shits of a great artist. Like, everyone gets diarrhea every now and again, and I'm taking out Frankenstein, which I barely made it through. I'm not even entirely sure why it's up for best sound, but here we go. Warfare. Warfare is about a platoon of American Navy SEALs on a surveillance mission gone wrong in insurgent territory. A boots on the ground story of modern warfare and brotherhood told in real time and based on the memory of the people who lived it, which is a really cool aspect to this. It's all about memory. You get a little warning at the very beginning of the film. This movie is based on the memories of those who were there. And I think that's such an interesting way of framing the movie, because it is so much about the senses. Whenever you think about major experiences in your life, you do remember. And I learned this whenever I was an actor in training. You rely on your senses so much for that. And what you do remember of events are the sounds, the smells, what was it taste in your mouth whenever that happened. And so for this to be a movie about the memories of the soldiers involved, and it being such an excellent, excellent example of sound in a film, I think is really, really cool. Not even shortlisted, not nominated. And here's a couple of reasons for best sound. Of course, this movie is directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. Ray Mendoza, it is his first feature film. And he was in, I don't know everybody's background, but he was in the military. This is a very wartime military movie. Also directed by Alex Garland of Ex Machina fame, Civil War, Annihilation, Men, a upcoming Elden Ring movie. Are you into Elden Ring?
I played like 20 hours of it, beat the first boss, and I was like, I'm not doing that again. Great game. Like, I was like, looks great. The lore's cool. Definitely not putting in the hours to beat all that shit.
I played for about 45 minutes.
Oh, really?
I bought it, I played it, and I thought to myself, I would rather just wear nipple clamps all day long and stick my hands in boiling water.
Wow. I really need you to check out Pillion.
I found nothing enjoyable about the game whatsoever. But anyway, Alex Garland, Elden Ring upcoming. Of course, he also wrote a lot of the 28 Days Later stuff. I love Alex Garland.
It's great.
Now, the sound designer is Glenn Fremantle, who was nominated before for Slumdog Millionaire and actually won in 2014 for Gravity.
Oh, yeah.
I would gladly trade that Oscar in for a nomination and a win here. I thought Gravity was kind of nothing but Sandra Bullock crying in space for like 60, 75 minutes. Wasn't a fan of that.
Wow.
And Ben Barker was also...
needed more men.
It needed more men. I don't know if... this is a very man-heavy podcast. We do have our bitch here, Ripley, the movie dog.
Yeah.
She's chewing on a bone in the corner right now. But Ben Barker also had a lot to do with this particular movie. I'm not going to list off what he has done because it is a shit ton of stuff. Now, a couple of the standouts here. One of the best needle drops of the year starts with Call on Me, the 2004 dance hit. It sets the tone. It sets up the relationship within about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. That's what you get during the, I can't remember if there's opening credits or not, but everything that you need to know about this group of guys happens on this needle drop. It's loud. It's boisterous. It's telling story through your ear holes. Stuff like whenever they are finally in the house that they take over, of course, there's snipers. And there's long extended periods of time where you're just looking through the sniper POV and the detail in just hearing the breath. And it's not just regular breathing. It is long, slow, steady breaths. And throughout the film, you can hear breath picking up, slowing down. Really, really cool stuff. The intimacy this is all taking place in a very confined space. And so the intimacy of the smaller sounds or the things that are a little quiet, the whispers, the breath, like I said before. And then you get these just big, huge bangs. The mix of this soundtrack must have been just fucking chaotic. There is one showcase kind of element to this movie. It's whenever they call in what is called a show of force. And a show of force is whenever they have an airplane. I don't know what kind of airplane. It flies down through the street and it breaks the sound barrier and it creates these loud ass booms. And I was rewatching it, and I don't have like a huge speaker set up here in my apartment, but you know, with Dolby Atmos and all that kind of stuff through the TV and the 4K, even just at home, the show of force is something that just makes your bones vibrate. One cool thing here, I read an interview with Glenn Fremantle where they talked about just the use of bullets, because you hear small bullets snapping, you hear bullet holes coming through the walls, all this. And they had to record so many different versions of that because bullets are further away, they're closer up. And that bullet snapping is actually the bullet crossing the sound barrier. I don't know shit about guns or bullets or anything like that. But I just found that fascinating. And I encourage everyone, and I'll say this, every movie I have picked today is less than 145 minutes. You can bang out all three movies in one day very, very easily. Warfare, high recommend on sound. And I know, Clint, you have not seen this, but do you have any thoughts on Warfare from a sound perspective and the nominees that are there?
Yeah, war is hell. You know,
war is hell.
That's what I've been told.
And it never changes either.
It never changes. It's interesting because when I was growing up watching the Oscars, I felt like every year there was a war movie nominated for sound, and there's just not this year. You know, So Warfare, it kind of seemed like in my head, I'm surprised it wasn't even shortlisted because I'm like, oh yeah, like usually a war movie gets in. I mean, I believe was Civil War nominated for
Yes,
best sound?
I think so.
I think. But yeah, F1 makes sense. That's in the nominations. I'm like, yeah, F1 sounds incredible.
It does.
I don't love the movie, but it sounds good.
Such a boring dub pick, though.
Yes. Well, but that's what's surprising. Like Warfare seems like a war movie with a interesting catch to it, you know. So it's surprising. Sinners makes sense. One battle after another makes sense. Frankenstein doesn't make sense. I don't know if I'd go so far as to call it a drizzling shit, but I won't forget that.
Like I said, we all get diarrhea every now and then.
Yeah. And then it's Surat is the other one, which I have not seen. Surat.
I have not seen it.
I know, there's a rave aspect to it. So sound design seems like it would be pretty important to it. It's a pretty surprising, snub, whatever you want to call it. I look forward to seeing Warfare. I love Alex Garland. I think he's a very talented writer and a solid director. So,
absolutely.
where can you see Warfare? Do you know? Is it on HBO?
Let me check my letterbox.
I love your voice for who you really are.
No, it's kind of like a Batman Bruce Wayne type thing.
I really shout. This is my movie voice. This is my movie nerd voice.
Warfare available on HBO Max or to buy or rent on the Apple TV store, or get your ass out to like a Barnes and Noble or even just Amazon and buy the damn 4K,
or go to Iran. Okay, so no. That doesn't count for political.
I had a feeling based on fact that you would say that.
Yeah.
One other note on Warfare. No Oscar nomination, no shortlist, was nominated for a BAFTA because despite the fact that they don't know how to fucking run their award show, they do know how to nominate people, I think, a lot of the time.
It's crazy to let a slur into your...
On a delay.
That is like in my head. I'm like, I was even talking to someone the other day about the BAFTAs, and I was like, they have a poor track record of like not recognizing black actors and actresses and filmmakers. And then they were like, they finally did that. They were like, but one asterisk to that. So that's wild. My pick for Best Actress renomination would be Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee.
Oh.
I would take out Kate Hudson for Sung Blue. And I have to say, I do love Kate Hudson. I think she's a great actress.
I will say, I 100% agree with taking Kate Hudson out. However, I will say, I did watch Song Sung Blue. And I am no Kate Hudson fan. I think she's terrible.
Wow, terrible take.
I think she is low-key great in Song Sung Blue. It's the best thing I've ever seen her do. And I try to avoid her performances.
Wow. This movie came out last year, but really didn't hit theaters until earlier in 2026. Directed by Mona Fastvold. This is, she co-wrote The Brutalist, so is a Oscar nominee, I believe, from just last year for Best Screenplay.
And she's the partner or married to Brady, right?
I believe I know that they're filmmaking partners, so I feel like they're, kind of have something going. Because Brady Corbet, it's like they take turns. They write the movies together and then they take turns directing.
That's right. Yeah. No, they're not together.
They're not together. Okay. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to. I'm sure that happens all the time. And this movie, The Testament of Anne Lee, they described it as more like a fable, like an epic fable about this religious leader, Anne Lee, who is the founding leader of the Shaker movement, who was actually proclaimed by her followers as a female Christ, as in Jesus Christ. In case you thought I meant Ruth Christ or Christ Angel Mind Freak.
Jesus. One of the few Vegas shows I have not seen.
Good for you. I gotta say, I loved The Testament of Anne Lee. it takes these like, and the reason they call it a fable is because it's based on a true story. Like the Shaker movement is a real movement. Like Ann Lee really existed. And so kind of in the way you could historically look at the gospel of Jesus, and you can, if you don't believe, you at least know like, well, Jesus probably existed. And we have some, descriptions of some of the events around that time. So the movie very wisely, I think, depicts it as if someone is sharing the gospel of Ann Lee. Like, let me tell you what I saw. I was there. And so it has a framing device with Thomasin McKenzie narrating a lot. And she's kind of one of the acolytes of Ann Lee as the movie goes on. But by and large, the movie rests on the shoulders of Amanda Seyfried. She is incredible in this. I think something that's often very showy in roles where it's like, I mean, she's literally like a charismatic religious leader, but it's in a very subdued way. Like it's a very understated charisma. Like she draws people in without being very like flashy or showy. And I couldn't compare it to any other depiction of like a cult or religious fanatic or anything like in film.
And that's kind of what I went into it expecting. And it totally not that at all. I was surprised.
Yes. Yeah, it's not there's not a lot of, and she gets some very emotional scenes. The other thing that this movie I think so beautifully shows through her performance is how hard, obviously, life must have been as a woman in the puritanical movement. It's really like a trigger warning, like on this movie, there's like some really tough to watch scenes of sexual assault, and Amanda Seyfried, I think about 10 or 15 minutes into it, I just thought, I was like, that's Ann Lee. Like my brain just kind of switched into that's Ann Lee, and you get so invested. And for a movie being about like a fable, her performance really makes it feel so real.
You can tell she gave herself over to this part.
Oh, yeah.
Her singing alone is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Because it's not showy. And even if you've never been around people like worshiping in the confines or context of their religion, I've been around that a lot in my life as a musician, and as a musician who, I've worked at churches before. Don't recommend it. Yeah,
I have as well, and I do not recommend it either.
Yeah, but there is this earnestness in which people will sometimes approach their worship in the musical context that Amanda Seyfried, like it's eerie how well she does that. And in this way where it's like you could imagine getting swept up in it. It really does feel like you're seeing these people have like a moment of whether you think it's delusion or spirituality or faith, whatever. It feels like these real moments where they're, as a community, like expressing this fervor together to where it doesn't feel, I don't know, it just didn't feel like a musical in that sense.
Should note that she was nominated for a Golden Globe in Best Musical Comedy category.
Wow, that's crazy.
I still don't know what we're doing. I understand the purpose behind it, but I don't know how anyone looks at this movie and says, oh, that is either a musical or a comedy. Let me tell you, I saw this movie in Las Vegas. I recently got stuck in Vegas for over a week because of winter storms in Texas. I needed to get off the strip, and I decided to go to, it was actually a really cool kind of old school, late 90s, early 2000s, big megaplex there close to the strip. I saw this in a movie theater alone, with the exception of two very, very old individuals, senior citizens. And
they were there.
They were there.
They were there when it took place. So you were able to say, hey, was this what it was like?
Well, when they got up and started dancing and shaking as well, I was like, we're part of the in crowd here, huh?
Shakers.
Hey, tell me about it. A very awkward experience, but there was nothing I don't know that the three of us that had that experience in the theater that day, I don't know that we laughed at all.
Yeah. It's a serious movie.
Yeah.
It's a very serious movie. There was some nervous laughter in my theater during some of the worship through music scenes. Daniel Blumberg is his name. It's Blum or Bloom. He takes these shaker hymns and adapts them to like modern soul. The music, and I don't know if that's why he wasn't nominated. If there's some rules with that.
We've got some work to do with the best score category as of late.
Yeah, best score and best song is cuckoo at the Oscars. But the music is really strong. But I mean the directing is great. Like the production design is great. Like I could have picked a lot of renominations for this movie. Like to me, this would be my Frankenstein pick, where it's like, look at all this technical work. And look at this, like at least one of these performances, But really, it is at the end of the day Amanda Seyfried's character, and it really, her performance makes such a strong argument that it's really the forceful taking of women's agency that spurs Anne's like religious fervor. But it also, because she's so good, you're also like, or it could be that she's actually having divine whispering in her ear. And maybe this is real, like it's such a stellar performance. This is the one performance I think in 10 years that people are going to be like, oh, that was nominated, right? And be like, no, it wasn't.
I think it is going to especially be frowned upon a decade later if Kate Hudson does win.
Man.
Which
No,
again,
I
thought Kate Hudson was great, and if I believe it's the other singing performance, she sings quite a bit in that. Again, Song Blue, not a musical, but probably has more music than that movie or Sinners combined put into it. It's a lot of Neil Diamond, but if you're going to put in an actress for a musical type performance like this, I just don't know how you put what Kate Hudson did in Song Blue over the riveting, ethereal, just raw performance that Amanda gives in this thing. I even wrote in my Letterboxd review, this was a mistake in giving Frankenstein almost all of Ann Lee's nominations, right?
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. It's like a very specific period piece. So you have all the costumes and I love Guillermo del Toro, and I don't like to shit on movies so many people put their heart and soul into it. I think it really is hard not to feel disappointed when you've seen Guillermo make the Frankenstein movie so many times in his career. It's and then when he finally goes to bat to do it proper, there's just something that feels very fake about it and artificial in a way that I have never felt from any of his movies.
For me, it's an outlier with him. I generally like most of what he does. Again, hot take, wasn't the biggest fan of Pan's Labyrinth.
That's a hot take because that movie fucking rips.
Everything else, absolutely adore. Frankenstein, like I said at the beginning, I think it's the drizzling shit. I think it's downright bad.
I saw it in the theater, which I think helped some of the technical aspects of it. Be like, oh yeah, it does like look and sound pretty good, but it was worse for the runtime. I checked my phone in the theater, which I almost never do,
and that's one of the reasons I try to go to the theaters. I would not have made it through that movie.
Luckily I had some friends with me, and we were all like halfway through. We were looking at each other like, how long has this movie been on? Like 3 hours? And it's like, no, just an hour. Yeah, so that is that's my first pick is Amanda Seyfried for Best Actress.
I am in alignment with you on that pick. And now on to my number 2 pick. There's a quote in this movie that reminded me of this director's overall work. The quote is, "Never buy good pictures, buy masterpieces." And this next pick of mine is The Phoenician Scheme from our Lord and Savior, Wes Anderson.
He's incredible.
Which I don't know how you can't argue. You may have varying degrees of liking different movies of his, but I honestly don't know how you can argue that all of them are not downright masterpieces. Isle of Dogs may be the exception, but I still like that quite a bit. We both recently got the Wes Anderson collection. I rewatched this for the third time last night on a bare bones 4K. Get with it, please. So Phoenician Scheme. I'm putting Phoenician Scheme into Best Cinematography. The nominees for cinematography at the 2026 Academy Awards include Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Train Dreams. Now, for Phoenician Scheme being put into Best Cinematography. Now, let me talk just first about the cinematographer, the director of photography, Bruno Delbonnel. Bruno Delbonnel, do you know any movies that he's been the director of photography on, Clint?
Bruno, yeah, like some like Coen Brothers stuff. Right?
He did one of my favorite movies of all time, Amelie.
Oh, okay.
Half-Blood Prince, probably the best of the Harry Potters. He did Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Buster Scruggs, Dark Shadows, A Very Long Engagement, Darkest Hour, Tragedy of Macbeth.
I love that movie.
Bruno has 6 Academy Award nominations, 4 BAFTA nominations. This dude has never won an Academy Award.
Wow.
Out of all those movies, six nominations, no wins. So we talk a lot about certain actors and people like, oh, it's their time. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Talk about someone like Bruno, who
we don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about
That's the real problem.
So going into some of the things that I love about Phoenician Scheme in terms of how it was shot, the cinematography, is there is so much careful construction of each of the scenes. You have so much great symmetry, and then the way that, most of the shots are static. But then whenever he does choose to use movement, the way that lighting is used, it just gives you that warm, fuzzy Wes Anderson artsy feeling. I don't know what the word for it is, but man, it is like taking some sort of fun pill. Starting off with the plane crash at the very beginning. Again, visual storytelling, just going a straight pan right across the plane crash. You learn a lot of what you need to know. Probably the reason I fell immediately in love with this movie, which this is probably upper mid Wes Anderson for me, maybe not in my top 5, but it's in the upper half, is the opening credits, the top-down shot of bathroom, Benicio del Toro. I've only watched it 3 times, but every time I've watched it, there is just something else that I notice in there. There's tiny little Easter eggs here and there. And Wes Anderson's movies are just so interesting to look at. So many of them I've been watching for over 30 years now, I guess. And they're never boring to watch. I've never been bored in a Wes Anderson movie. And I think that is just that awesome combination of the sound, the directing, the performances. But a lot of that responsibility comes back on how the movie is shot, because without a lot of that, you're not capturing in the way that it needs to be captured. And then again, you have differences in or different styles within this movie, because you have the black and white biblical troop scenes, which are so we got William Dafoe there, Bill Murray, and those have their own distinct style. The entrance of Tom Hanks and Cranston coming up on the train before they play their little basketball game is absolutely fantastic. The fight at the very end with Uncle Nubar, that is played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
Man, there's a lot. If you really break that scene down and watch it very, very carefully for the way that the camera moves, it's a very vertical scene.
Mm-hmm.
It takes place over a couple of different staircases. And the way that vertical movement is used, the shaking that happens whenever somebody gets hit, there's a random Steadicam shot in there as well, which is something you don't see. That is so different from every other static symmetrical shot that you see. And so whenever movement or any of that stuff is used, man, it hits home really, really, really hard. Of course, I did not read the description of this movie.
A little confusing.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try to do. I'm just going to read the description right off of Letterboxd. So, Phoenician scheme. The tagline is: if something gets in your way, flatten it. A wealthy businessman, Jaja Korda, appoints his only daughter, a nun, as sole heir to his estate. As Korda embarks on a new enterprise, they soon become the target of scheming tycoons, foreign terrorists, and determined assassins. Now, I've seen some negative stuff about this movie being, oh, it's too confusing. It's just another kind of dollhouse Wes Anderson thing, and there's no substance there. No, I think my viewings of this have actually been very similar to when I originally watched the first Mission Impossible movie back in 95, 96. While that was a blockbuster, you go back and watch the first Mission Impossible movie, you have to pay attention.
Yeah, it's a little convoluted.
The plot is not as obvious as AI is going to take over the world. Let's fight on a plane. No, you got to pay attention to that. And there's layers that with that movie have been uncovered year after year after year. And I understand certain things more and more, even to my viewings last year before Dead Reckoning. And so with Phoenician Scheme, I kind of liken that to the same because there's little bits and pieces of the plot. It's so dense.
Oh, yeah.
That I pick up these things here and there and I just start to love it and love it more. Similarly to Asteroid City.
Yeah.
I was not the biggest fan of Asteroid City the first time I saw it. I saw it the second time and understood, okay, this is what we're doing. And Asteroid City may be in my top 5 now. Of course, you've got Mia Threepleton playing daughter Liesel, Michael Cera doing Bjorn the Tutor.
So good.
And yeah, this is just probably visually my top movie of the year. I go back and forth between this and say Train Dreams. There are certain scenes in like one battle. There's certain scenes in Sinners, but as far as like the total package, based on the fact that Bruno has been nominated so many times and done so many amazing looking movies, I would have had no problem with Phoenician, which, by the way, got 0 nominations for anything whatsoever. I don't know. This needs to be rectified. If Wes Anderson makes a movie and he keeps up the quality that he's done for the past 30 years, his movies deserve to be nominated in some categories across the board. He's an
Oscar winner for short film.
For short film. And then we also got, I think the only other Oscar that a Anderson movie has won was production design for Grand Budapest.
Okay.
I think I think Wes Anderson movies total have only won 2 Academy Awards.
That's obscene. I know he's been nominated for screenplay, but the fact that he's never won screenplay is insane.
The nominations through the roof, but very, very few wins. And this is why we are doing this podcast to rectify this situation. Just overall the execution of shots shot on 35 millimeter. Thank you. So yeah, highly recommend Phoenician Scheme. 102 minutes. It is a visual feast.
Hell yeah.
What are your thoughts on Phoenician Scheme, Clint?
I really liked it. I didn't love it. And that has happened before with Anderson movies. I would say it's pretty low in my Anderson, which is to say that I thought it was pretty good, you know? Like, right, I don't think he's ever made a bad movie. And usually when I rewatch his movies, it's like, oh, like I think I like this more. That happened with Isle of Dog, especially. And Moonrise Kingdom, when I saw Moonrise Kingdom in the theater, I was like, that's pretty good. And then I rewatched it at home and I was like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a normal thing. I think it does. If there's one thing that sticks out in that movie, other than the performances, like Benicio del Toro and Michael Cera is so funny in it, it's the visuals. Like there are a lot of shots in that movie that I could easily pull up in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, that was great. Oh yeah, that was great. So
yeah, and I on this last viewing, I paid real close attention to the lighting. I was like, can we see the lighting sources? Where is it coming from? And because that main set at the beginning of the movie with the table in between, where there's just this big wide shot, and you don't really see where the light is coming. It's just this kind of like it's not quite a total warm glow, but it's a little bit more white. But it perfectly encapsulates and helps you take in all the different elements of the story that are about to take place inside of that room. You've got the shoe boxes. You even see in the back, or you see Michael Cera come in at the very end. The opening shot of that particular scene is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it's great. Great movie. Great pick. So my number 2, this one is for adapted screenplay. Now I'm going to read the nominees for adapted screenplay, and also explain why my pick is allowed in adapted screenplay, because you would assume that it would be an original screenplay, but it's not. So the nominees for adapted screenplay this year: Begonia by Will Tracy, Frankenstein for Guillermo, Hamnet, which was Maggie O'Farrell and Chloe Zhao. Maggie O'Farrell being the writer of the book. One Battle After Another, written by Paul Thomas Anderson, but based off of the Thomas Pynchon Vineland loosely. And then Train Dreams, which was Clint Bentley and Greg Cuidar. Clint representation. You love to see it, but also based off of a book. So my pick for adapted screenplay is the third Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man.
Solid.
I would take out, and this is I feel a little like this is almost every category we're like, and I would take out Frankenstein.
I see a pattern emerging.
But out of those nominees, I would take out Frankenstein. Hamnet was great. One Battle After Another is great. Begonia's great. Train Dreams.
Clint does not like to shit on movies, but he did just take out Frankenstein for the third time in this podcast.
Yeah, I'm like, I would agree with taking out Frankenstein. Whatever. It is what it is. This movie, so the reason why it's adapted is because it's a sequel. That's just the rules. If it's a sequel, then the Academy makes it adapted instead of original screenplay.
By that rule, movies like The Empire Strikes Back,
yeah,
that would have been in Best Adapted and not Best Original.
Yeah, I think they were doing adapted. They had different rules back in the 70s and 80s a little bit, I think. But yeah, it would be.
Godfather, what was Godfather Part 2 up for?
That's a good question, and I'm
going to look that up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll let you look at that. Yeah, I mean, and it's not, these are characters. Maybe it's because of Benoit Blanc, like being a character through all of them, like that really seals the deal for adapted. Because it was nominated for Best Original. Knives Out was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, and Glass Onion was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. And the Oscars nominations roll around this year, and Wake Up Dead Man is not nominated for adapted screenplay. So not only did it break precedent of this entire trilogy was getting nominations for writing, but it's just a travesty because it's probably the best screenplay of all three of them.
100%. I was about to say, it may not be, I'm still debating whether it's my favorite, but I think it's the best.
It's so good. And it's crazy to say that of a third movie, of a threequel, if you will. So Wake Up Dead Man, if you're not familiar with the character of Benoit Blanc, he's one of the greatest detectives in the world.
I'll say.
Yeah, the CSI KFC, as Lakeith Stanfield says in Knives Out. So this one, very much my shit, is about a young priest named Judd who's sent to assist a charismatic Monsignor named Jefferson Wicks in a little small town with a small parish. And it's just clear that there's something wrong going on. And then a impossible murder happens, and there's a very obvious lack of a suspect. So the local police chief is like, I'm going to get the renowned detective Benoit Blanc to unravel this mystery. So really, some of the controversy, I think, with this movie when it came out was it takes a long time for Benoit Blanc to even show up. Like Daniel Craig is not in the first 30, 35 minutes of the movie. It really is.
I was thirsty for him.
Yeah, by the time he shows up, it's like edging. We're just waiting for Daniel Craig in all the ways. But it's Josh O'Connor's movie, and it's an amazing performance. I could have picked this as a renomination for Josh O'Connor. I personally would have picked it for a renomination for Best Picture. This movie this was my favorite movie of last year. I've seen it 3 times. I watched it twice in the theater, which it is hard to take people's, like, when they say they saw the movie, but it was just at home on Netflix. I'm like, then you kind of saw the movie, but you didn't really like. If you didn't see this with a crowd on a big screen, it's a game changer. And I feel that way about Glass Onion. I feel that way about Knives Out. It is a different ball game when you watch these in the theaters. Like, the energy from a crowd in these movies is incredible. And
Absolutely.
this movie's screenplay, it is laid out so perfectly, like not just the mystery, but the characters. And it's, it's a little longer, it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. About, doesn't feel like it. Every character you is fully fleshed out, gets a moment. And when I say fully fleshed out, it's like, obviously, no, not in a novelistic sense of like, every single thing about these characters, but that all of the likely suspects are very well drawn. There's a lot of like fun actors, character actors, and big names. They get to be a part of it. But really, the writing for Judd, like to write a character, a priest, just for me, like, I grew up Catholic, and so I'm already like, I have a built-in like understanding and even reverence for some of the things in the church, but I also have a built-in like hatred for some of the things in the church. And this is definitely a movie, if you have strong feelings on faith or belief, like, it's going to present it in a way that it will elicit a reaction from you, but it never like takes a side in a way that is beautiful. Like, you have in a monologue that I love, you have Benoit Blanc talking to Judd about why Benoit doesn't believe and why he thinks church is nonsense. He has this great line where he says he bows at the altar of reason, which is just really fucking good. And he lays out exactly why he doesn't believe. And Benoit Blanc's character, not really a spoiler alert, it's in the second one revealed that he does have a relationship. He's not some bachelor guy, that he has a husband. And so there is also this understanding that like Benoit Blanc has been on the edges and receiving end of scorn and hatred, especially just his based off of his age. And so it doesn't shy away from any of those criticisms. However, this movie with Josh O'Connor's performance, like there is a scene where this young priest is in the throes of trying to solve this murder mystery with Benoit Blanc. And it's a very, I won't spoil it, but it's just a very important like piece of the puzzle. And he has to make a phone call, Judd, the priest does. And in that phone call, it turns out it's a very funny, like he's just trying to get an answer. And the woman on the phone is just talking and talking. And in my theater, like we were all laughing, like it's a really funny moment. But then it has this turning point where he's really trying to get her off of the phone. And she's like, "Father, can I talk to you about something?" And she starts talking about her mother who's been sick and all these things. And you can see like this softening in Judd. Like at first he kind of bristles, like, I really got to go. But then you see like that thing inside him that even made him become a priest comes out, and he gives her time, and he makes Benoit like wait while he's on this phone praying with this woman. And as someone who grew up in church and was involved in ministry, I've never seen a more accurate representation of the good kind of pastoring that can happen, where everything, this crazy stuff is going on in your life, and someone's like, "Hey, I need to talk to someone," and someone like a judge shows up and is like, "Yeah, you know what? I'll talk to you." Like, and it's a beautiful display of love and faith in a movie that also has a great display of the reasons to not believe in God.
Yeah, and that's a layer that makes it stand out from any other whodunit. Or I was just wondering to myself, is this movie a victim of just, the Academy not usually recognizing comedies or almost even genre films? Because to me, this movie is that perfect combination of fun and depth. And we get these movies, ever so often where you're having an absolute awesome time. It does not feel like it's 2.5 hours in any way, shape, or form. And yet there is something fairly deep about it, that you are getting a message out of it. Something in you is thinking. And to have a movie that's so fun, so well told, I don't understand what we're doing with this movie not being nominated for not a damn thing.
I mean, I would argue not only should it have been nominated, but should have won for best screenplay. I love that Paul Thomas Anderson is going to win an Oscar for screenplay. I think that's great. I think it's funny that people dismiss some of Wake Up Dead Man like this, like, well, they're shoehorning in a mystery, and I don't really care about some of this faith stuff. It's like, well, One Battle After Another has some problematic race stuff in it that you could point to
100%.
from a writing standpoint.
Yeah, but I mean, 10 minutes into that movie.
Yeah, like none of this is unassailable. Like none of these, that's the great thing about talking about movies.
Or is there a Netflix factor here?
Yeah. I mean, Netflix is no stranger to getting nominations. Frankenstein, and maybe it's that the Netflix machine was just like, Guillermo del Toro's the Oscar guy. He's won Best Picture. Let's put all of our money into, making this a thing. I think that could be part of it. I also, I think Wake Up Dead Man is going to age so well because so many movies from Mickey 17 to like the last couple of years, you have a lot of movies where there is a character that you're like, oh, this is like the Donald Trump of this movie. Like there is a Trump-esque figure. And the thing about Wake Up Dead Man is Josh Brolin plays this Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, who is a little bit like a Trump figure, but where most writers make them so just like so ridiculous and one note, you kind of understand why Jefferson Wicks has this cult of personality around him, which is something that people miss about, like the president, Donald Trump. It's like, you do have to go, okay, I do understand why there's a cult of personality around this person. It's silly to think any other way. And this movie does that not only so well, but it really dives deep without spoilers into Jefferson Wicks, like the way that how he really views his congregation, how he's been manipulating them, and how he successfully uses their loyalty against them in a way that really only abusive people in power can do. And you see it all the time in the church. That it's just phenomenal writing.
It's so revealing. You learn a lot of that through the confession scenes.
Yes. Yeah.
And those confession scenes are probably some of the biggest laugh out loud moments that I had in a theater this year. Let's just say lots of great masturbation talk. Lots of great masturbation talk.
Josh Brolin, if Josh Brolin was in your movie last year, it was a good movie.
Another one you could have, I would have put Josh Brolin up for Best Supporting Actor on this as well.
He brings the heat. Like he and Josh O'Connor. Josh O'Connor is incredible in this. Like, and this is a movie that I think it's the double-edged sword of something like Netflix is more and more people are like, oh, did you say Wake Up Dead Man? Like, it's just on their Netflix and they can watch it whenever. It has legs, and I want to see another Knives Out movie. I would love to see a Knives Out Muppet movie. I pretty much would just love to see any version of Knives Out.
Yeah, and to think about people's viewing habits and to know that this movie had like a week and a half, 2 week theatrical release.
2 weeks at most, I think.
It's not just the experience of being in a theater full of people, having a shared experience. It's what your viewing habits are whenever you are at home. It takes a very disciplined person to not sit on the couch and double screen it. Or I'm going to watch 15 minutes of this here. I'll finish 30 minutes later. This is a movie you need to watch from start to finish. And there's so many great, I was just looking up a couple of the quotes. I mean, just in this alone, what's the character's Judd?
Judd.
Judd is talking. He's talking about religion, the church. He says, it's storytelling, the rites and the rituals, costumes, all of it. It's storytelling. I guess the question is, do these stories convince us of a lie? Or do they resonate with something deep inside us that's profoundly true that we can't express any other way except storytelling? Holy shit. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have Benoit Blanc saying stuff like, flesh and blood, flesh and blood. Yeah, yes, that's all wiggly, wiggly.
Dude, my favorite line reading from Daniel Craig is Monsignor Jalapeno.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Yeah. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. I lost it on that. And then the second time especially, because it's so fun. There's moments that are so funny. And one of my favorite low key is Judd during one of his, he's narrating. He says, I was young, dumb, and full of Christ. It's such a like subtle, like I was like, that's so funny. But yeah, the movie's just incredible. This is my favorite movie of last year. I love it. And I don't feel, Oscar schmoskers, like this movie's it's going to stand the test of time.
And I think when people come up with their best trilogies of this century, 70 some odd years from now.
Oh yeah.
The Knives Out trilogy will be in that conversation very much so.
Yeah. And I think it tees us up well for the next pick, because we actually have the same pick.
Which for all of our, 5 to 10,000 listeners out there, sometimes Clint and I do agree on things. We will align on certain picks. And whenever this happens, we will kind of take that pick at the same time. But I will let you take the lead on this.
So, yeah, I'm sure you will. So this is for actor in a leading role. And I heard this pick is actually nuts, because this is Tim Robinson in the 2024 that got released in 2025 masterpiece that is Friendship. So it did qualify for the Oscars, had a very long, like A24 just sucks at releasing movies, and they have just really weird release schedules. But this was a comedy, kind of almost like, yes, it's a comedy, but I would argue more shades of a dramedy than you would expect in this movie.
This one hits home quite a bit.
Yeah, it really does. It's and Tim Robinson's performance is incredible. And as much as we agree on Tim Robinson should have been nominated, that they should recognize comedies, if you ask me, I would take out DiCaprio, because he's been to the Oscars.
Who all do we got? Who all do we got?
Sorry, we have Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another. Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, which would be my personal pick for the win this year. Honestly, I loved him. Michael B. Jordan for Sinners was incredible. If he wins, be very happy. Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, and then everyone's favorite Timothee Chalamet for Marty Supreme. So I would take out DiCaprio because he doesn't give a shit about the awards anymore. Like, we already had our will he, won't he get his Oscar, and then he got it for The Revenant. Sorry that wasn't the best DiCaprio performance. He's a legend. He has an Oscar. I say you could take him out. He's done. He's kind of riffing on the same idiot notes that he's doing in Killers of the Flower Moon in this. And I love it. Like, it's top tier idiocy, kind of like George Clooney, where it's just kind of like bumbling performance. It's great. But yeah, I would swap out Leo for Tim Robinson. Who would you swap, Chris?
Well, first, let me get to. I absolutely love this. Is so appropriate, but the description, the summary for Friendship on Letterboxd. Have you seen this?
No.
All it says, the tagline is, men shouldn't have friends. This movie has a 1-sentence summary. It says, a suburban dad falls hard for his charismatic new neighbor.
It's perfect. That's perfect.
That is it.
That's a perfect summary of the movie.
I watched this for the third time last night. I am relatively new to Tim Robinson. I was introduced to, what's his show on Netflix?
I Think You Should Leave.
I was introduced to I Think You Should Leave last year. I have watched that series 3 times over in the last year. I've been through Detroiters. I've consumed every bit of Tim Robinson that I possibly can, because to me, he is truly an innovator of comedy. Whatever the next evolution of it was, Tim Robinson has done it. And he's hitting this, I don't know if it's just specifically at like millennial men, but so many of his line readings in the TV show, in Friendship, all of this, I'm like, that there's this youthful part of me that remembers saying something like that when I was 12 years old. And like, I want to say some of these things still to this day, or the very tragic awkwardness that he presents in trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Or taking a lot of just random mundane situations or, infomercials that you might see on TV and just, they seem so outrageous. If on the surface, he's a complete goofball.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. But if you just stay with it for just a little bit, you see how deep it goes. Now, so yeah, I think Tim Robinson, one of the absolute best performances of the year. The individual that I am taking out, and I want to preface this because this is probably going to be an ongoing conversation. I do not hate Timothee Chalamet. I do not hate him. I think he's done plenty of fine performances. I just don't have a boner for him.
Yeah.
So I am taking out Timothee Chalamet's performance in Marty Supreme. To me,
wow,
this is a battle of having an outrageously honest, awkward, and funny performance with Tim Robinson to having an outrageously forced performance with Timothee Chalamet. Timothee Chalamet in this movie, Marty Supreme, reminds me, I used to be a high school theater director for many, many years. He reminds me of when my students would get on stage and, they prepared, they memorized, they had the decision with how the performance was going to go, and they would get up on stage and nothing would be natural. Nothing would flow. Was it polished? Yeah, absolutely. Was it honest? Was it authentic? In no way, shape, or form. And that's kind of how I view this performance with Timothee Chalamet in Marty Supreme. It is forced. And I'll just add another layer to this. The way this guy has been conducting himself, I think he's had a bit of an identity crisis. He plays different things to different people, and to me, it just comes off completely disingenuous. Or maybe he's just a very youthful actor that is still finding his way in adulthood, in life, in this business. Because on one hand, got him last year at the SAG Awards. Good. What is Best Actor award? I'm gonna be great. You remember that Tom Hanks? He won 2 awards. I'm gonna win 3 awards. Timmy. I wore my hot orange ping pong paddle holder on the red carpet. So Kylie. What's his girlfriend's name? Is it Kylie? Is it Kylie? Kylie or
Kylie Jenner.
It's Jenner. Kylie told me it was going to be great. So I'm going to wear this great thing right here. Hey, Clint, do you remember when they shot me in Dune 2? In Dune 2, they shot me from the waist up, so I look really, really big.
He's tall, right?
He's
Is he 6 feet? Maybe he's not.
No, Clint, I measure 4'7", but on screen, if you shoot me a certain way, I'm about 6'5".
7.
In Dune 2, I was 6'5".
He's 5'10".
In Interstellar, I was 3'7".
Well, he's 5'10", so he's probably like 5'9". 5'9", 5'8". I think this is one of your worst takes that probably some people will agree with. I think there is an allergic reaction that some people have had to Marty Supreme and Timothy's performance. The point of Marty Supreme, without like spoiling it, is that he is an asshole. Like, I don't think the movie pretends that he's a good guy. And I do think that Timothée Chalamet in the marketing of the movie was trying to make a #1 hit, which he did. He succeeded. He's a movie star, which, we do need movie stars. Going to be even less after this merger with Paramount if it goes through. And I think it's a net positive, even if some of the marketing stunts that he did, you could kind of roll your eyes at.
I'm going to stand on top of the sphere in Las Vegas. Because it's round like a ping pong ball.
Okay, first off, it is round like a ping pong ball. So that's not wrong. I do think that he was trying to get people his age and a little younger to the movie theaters, and it fucking worked. Like I have a lot of Gen Z friends, and they all fucking saw that movie, and they all asked me what I thought about it. And it was one of the only movies last year that they asked me about.
Is that the name of the group chat that you have with them?
Gen Z friends.
Mhm.
Yeah, they hate it. They're like, "Hey, Grandpa, why'd you put us in this group chat?" But they really did. Like they went out to see it. I wouldn't have taken Timothee Chalamet out because it's a good performance. It's a good performance from a good actor who can be a great actor. I think it's a better performance than his Dylan, wasn't he? He was nominated for that as well last year.
I was going to have a fucking aneurysm if he won last year for that performance.
Dispatch.
And that's why I say
Bouncing off of one of the.
Absolutely. I'll also say this. I'm a big wrestling fan.
Okay.
Bret the Hitman Hart is my favorite wrestler of all time. He's the best technical wrestler of all time. He may not be on everybody's Mount Rushmores, blah, 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 blah. Bret Hart was so good that he could have a wrestling match with the worst wrestler and make it look amazing.
Yeah.
Francis McDormand, kind of the same.
Okay, but that's not.
Now, I'll say this, but I still like Timmy. I'll say this. I like Timmy. I think anyone can have a good scene with Francis McDormand.
I think he's great in Little Women. I think
Agreed.
I think he's great in the movie Little Women. Let me say, I think he's great in Lady Bird.
Lady Bird, I was about to say Lady Bird.
It's the movie's doing a little too much, but the one where he's an addict, his performance is good.
Call Me by Your Name.
He's a peach.
Yeah. I'll say this. As far as Dune goes, I think he's a perfectly good young Atreides.
Great in Dune.
He's an abysmal.
I think he's just miscast.
Lisa Nagali.
Like once he has to turn on the martyr, complex. Like it just that did not work for me with Dune 2, even though that movie, I think technically it's a 5 out of 5, like the technical achievement. But yeah, his performance takes away from that. So I get, and I get that he's young. And so there's kind of this like, he wants to be Leonardo DiCaprio, and congratulations to me.
I want to be great like Leo.
I think you are. Like, I think that, I think he might be going empty-handed at the Oscars. I think there might be some pushback to his youth, pushback to how American Marty Supreme is. The Oscars are very international. I do think Marty Supreme is a movie that kind of works better for a younger generation than older, which is kind of crazy, but the pace, almost like an Oppenheimer edited style where you're just like, holy shit, this thing just goes.
Yeah, doing whatever the fuck you want without any consequences to you or anyone else.
That's just in vogue in general these days.
Yeah. Honestly, that gets to the core. So, I think Timothée Chalamet is a perfectly good actor. Not great, perfectly good actor. But my real issue with this performance and with this movie is from a storytelling perspective, I feel like characters need to go on an arc, a journey. There needs to be a difference in them from the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. And I felt that this was one level the entire time, to the point where we're not even given the satisfaction at the end. We get I think it's a bit of a Castaway ending. And I won't spoil it or anything, but
interesting.
The people that I hear talk about this movie automatically assume he's going to do the good thing. I came out of it saying, what in this movie makes you think that he's going to make a good decision here? There is no arc here. And it was even kind of stylistically kind of elevated in a way, kind of a little fast talking sometimes not. And so I just don't think it's a well-rounded. I think overall the movie falls very, very flat. Cool. We made a whole marketing thing around ping pong balls. Guess what? The movie has like 2 ping pong scenes in it.
Yeah, good ones. I thought they were shot really. I thought it was really cool, especially that first one starting wide like that.
I'll give you that. But to me, it's just an incomplete performance, very lack of arc. The character is the same at the beginning of the movie than he is at the end of the movie. Whether that's Timmy's fault, the script's fault, Safdie's fault, whoever's fault, doesn't matter to me. Whenever you look at a performance, getting back to Tim Robinson has so much depth, so many levels, and you can see the downward slope and the consequences of his actions in this movie.
Well, first off, what you said was so incoherent and stupid, and everyone in this room who've heard it,
you automatically assume everyone loves this shit.
No, I'm just kidding. I think I do disagree with your take on Marty as a character. I think he is a young Jewish boy post-Holocaust who is like, how am I going to be remembered? What is my legacy? And without spoiling, I think it's more important, the decision, not what happens after the last scene of the movie, but the decision that he made to get there is more important for how he is starting to understand his legacy, not necessarily, well, now is this character going to do the right thing after? I don't think that matters. I think it's more like, almost like, I don't know, an open-ended ending like Inception is weird, I guess.
Assumed legacy.
Yes. Yeah, but that's the whole point is and again, you're spending all this time with, like, I mean, like I saw it with my wife. She liked the movie. But yeah, we both definitely got out. It's like, whoa, like very, like, he's just so obsessed with his legacy and how the world is going to see him that it's a painful watch. Which reminds me of Uncut Gems in that like Safdie way of uncomfortable, like, oh man, I really want this guy to start doing the thing that's not going to make me feel anxious. That would be nice. Like if he could just, and I felt that way during Uncut Gems. I do think Uncut Gems is better, but I do think Timothee Chalamet is good in that. But it's it's fine. We'll see what happens during the Oscars. We're gonna have an interesting conversation post Oscars if he wins. Interesting in the fact that I'm gonna be laughing my ass off.
And some of what you just said about the character, part of what is coloring my opinion on this, admittedly, is over the past year while he was filming this movie, you saw his character bleed through. I mean, and prime example is that I'm After Greatness speech at the SAG Awards. I appreciated it at the moment. I hate it now because I can see what the influence was, because he has totally changed his tone this year.
Yeah, he has.
I just want to do the art. You know, is that how you be great? Just do the art.
But I think that's part of being a movie star is everyone has such a, like, it reminds me of DiCaprio, where like we have different seasons of DiCaprio's personalities that came out depending on what he was filming, who he was shacked up with, who he was partying with. Like it really does remind me of that, like Timothee Chalamet does feel like an actual movie star, but in a day and age now where we're so, like, I can see everything he does on my phone. And so it's just like, fuck man, like more, like, it just gets a little, it was different when we were growing up, and it'd be like these, every now and then you'd see some story would pop up, you'd see him, the whole campaigning around Oscars was different. So it's a net, Marty Supreme is a net, regardless of if you don't like the movie, it's a net positive.
I got to a saturation point with him, most definitely. But my point is that I really despise it, coming from a theater acting background. Any actor that is method in some way, shape, or form, or allows their character to bleed over into their real life. And so, you get a little bit of this from Timothée Chalamet. You had, what was the Austin Butler doing Elvis? You couldn't get rid of the dialect for
that's hard,
like
though.
a year.
I have that too. Like once I start doing an impression of someone, I'm like, oh no. Like my wife hates when I see Jimmy Stewart movies because then the whole rest of the day I'm like, well, I'll say, oh hi babe.
Jimmy Stewart impressions are something totally.
Like so, I do get that a little. It's annoying though. Don't tell anybody. I would be mortified. To me, I would be like, if that was happening to me, I think the best thing you can do as an actor is not tell people.
I just find when the character bleeds over into the person, it's a little obnoxious. And that's compared to someone like Daniel Day-Lewis, who is most definitely a method actor. But are you seeing him going and doing interviews like Daniel Plainview or anything like this? No, he's off cobbling shoes.
Well, and he gets so into it, he kind of eschews some of the technological stuff anyways. And Daniel Day-Lewis also, he ruined method acting for people because he was like the poster boy for method acting, introduced a couple of generations to the idea of like method acting, I think in more of a mainstream way. So it's kind of like done. And then Jared Leto killed it officially, as he does everything. Because once again, Jared Leto sucks. That'd be probably an ad in every episode.
I love Tron. He fucking ruined Tron.
God, everything he touches. Okay, so now that we showed you guys a great example of some tension in our friendship, let's go back to the movie.
We're here to actually talk about Tim Robinson,
being
the best, one of the best actors nominated this year.
And there's such a lack of and this is nothing. This is a lot of people talk about this, that comedies don't get their due respect in the Oscars, and it's true. And Friendship, I mean, I think Tim Robinson's performance, if people are like, well, this is like the same kind of comedy that he does and all of his stuff, it's like, okay, that's really funny. Like, we don't hold that against actors. I mean, like Christopher Walken is an Oscar nominated actor, and Christopher Walken is, oh, there's always the essence of Christopher Walken in his performances. Like, I just think that's such bullshit that gets counted against comedians even harder. It is harder to make people laugh than cry. As someone who went to theater, the top theater
comedy,
school, like, comedy making people laugh is 100 times more difficult.
Anyone that has done any degree of theater, TV show, movie knows comedy is harder than drama.
It just is. Like, and even, I mean, dramatic actors will tell you that. Comedic actors will tell you, like, it's just known. It's more difficult. And so Tim Robinson in Friendship navigates both. Like, the awkward and uneasiness of, because men are not doing well. Like, men are not okay. And in America, like, men are not making friends. Like, there is a friendship epidemic. Honestly, like, with men, and especially in America. That's my biggest experience that I can speak to. And this movie captures the awkwardness of what it's like as an adult male to try to make a friend, and also, like, because Paul Rudd he's the counterpoint to Tim Robinson's character. He's a very gregarious person, wants to pull this awkward Craig, is Tim Robinson's character's name. He wants to pull Craig into kind of like his circle, and be that let me introduce you to my friends, and he does such a good job of showing that tension of like, oh, what have I done? Bringing this awkward guy, because Craig is just he's so awkward, and he has some incredible moments that are just so difficult to watch. I think this movie, you really need to see it twice, because the first time it is so hard to not just like die of cringing towards some of the embarrassing things that he does, where you're like, oh, that's brutally real. Like, oh.
I have been in similar situations where I've met someone or a group of people that I feel like I really connect with. But then they ask me, so what's your favorite Taylor Swift song? And I'm like,
yeah,
no, what? And your interests just don't align, or you just don't know anything about. And he has so many situations, whether it's the punk music, the playing the drums, the random acapella, I've been watching you. And you're just, the look that comes over his face in the situations. And then he gets so desperate whenever they have the little boxing thing.
Oh my gosh. All the scenes, anytime there's a scene in this movie in a garage, the scene's fucking great and cringy.
The feeling that I have in the pit of my stomach when Tim Robinson is eating soap, punishing himself.
Yeah.
Trying to be like, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's so
funny. And it goes on. It does not stop. It goes on. And while I've never been in that same situation,
sure,
I've been in situations where I have tried to fit in a situation that just did not work.
Yeah.
And you're just like, big gulps, huh?
Exactly. That's what it feels like. That scene, there's so many scenes with him in this movie where he just, when there is a decision to be made of how to act in public, like, he just picks the wrong thing. And it's great. The movie wastes 0 minutes on like showing you, like, right in the beginning, he's in like a group discussion, and like his first line, like, you see a very earnest Kate Mara talking about like a very serious, like, how she's adjusting post cancer recovery.
Yeah, she's post cancer.
And his first line is, "I'm orgasming just fine." That's the first thing that he needs to let people know in that group, because she talks about their sex life.
I literally just watched it. The first line, which is on the surface just like one of these random things that you say to people that's sick or whatnot. Because it's a really heartfelt monologue that it's very heavy to start out with. And he just says, it's not coming back.
Yeah, it's not coming back. That's right.
And then we go into I'm orgasming just fine. So many, if there are one-liners of the year, they totally go to this movie. This is how we talk. We go to Marvels.
Yeah.
There's
Exactly.
a new Marvel out.
Like he also, there's no one before and that has ever like captured the hearts of meme makers the way Tim Robinson has. Like that. Even if people have never seen the movie, they've seen the still of Tim Robinson in a chair being like I've heard something is actually nuts. That's that format. And his show, like there's so many memes from I Think You Should Leave. And in this movie, it's perfect. I think for me, the standout line that I've laughed about this line every time that I've thought about it. There is this, again, a very like heartfelt discussion in a garage where these men are like actually kind of being vulnerable with each other. And one of them talks about like he's divorced and has to take his daughter shopping for like bras. You know, he's talking about how like she has big breasts and they have to go bra shopping. And it's already like an awkward thing for men to talk about. And you just kind of feel it. And it makes you like wonder, like it's a little funny, but you're like, that's interesting that the movie plants that seed. And it doesn't pay off until the third act, like in the last, like literally the last like 5-10 minutes of the movie. Craig, without spoiling it, he sees this guy again and he goes, "Man, I keep thinking about your busty little daughter that everyone keeps staring at." I fucking died.
For me, I mean, we've hit a lot of the high points, but there's so many small moments in his performance and in his line readings. For one, I am a very socially awkward person. If you just meet me on the street, which I don't know why we would be on the street, but I don't know what to say. I'm very socially awkward.
You don't like small talk?
I hate small talk. I don't care what the weather's doing, what the traffic is doing. Let's talk about the last time that you cried. Okay.
Chris, you're the guy, you were like, "I'm orgasming just fine." Is that what we're going to talk about?
Yeah. How are you, guy? I had a couple good ones last week. But the empathy and the connection that I have to his social awkwardness really shines through in all these little small moments. And it's all these little tiny interactions that you have with people out in the world where they ask you these, "How are you? Did you find everything okay?" Like, what if I didn't find everything okay?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it? But he has this, to me, this is the line that makes me laugh over and over and over. He's at the store checking out and the lady at the cash register asks him, would you like the receipt in the bag? And he goes, "I'd love the receipt in the bag." And I'm so unconsciously going to start saying, I've never wanted to quote a movie. It's been a while since there's been a movie that I just wanted to live my, quote over and over again in everyday life. And this is one of those, but the social awkwardness and you really described it well at the beginning of this segment about the isolation of men and whatnot. I have a good yoga community. I have not a ton of friends. I got a couple. I don't do anything on social media personally, but sometimes that isolation really starts to hit and it comes out through a lot of these interactions. And the way that Tim does cringe, it's such a unique and honest and refreshing way of doing it. It on the surface appears over the top, but I would not classify anything that he does as being over the top. It is a magnification of true interactions in the world, is the way that I would probably put it. And not only that, but I want to know what the dessert at Spaghetti Freddy's is like.
Yeah, man, it's crazy that such a great comedic performance can't be nominated for an Oscar. And if there were like an Oscar category for like best 5-minute performance, Connor O'Malley in Friendship. You've seen him in I Think You Should Leave. He's amazing stand-up specials. He's another guy that I feel like is really pushing comedy into a new era. Again, the garage, without spoiling, they're having a big party and he comes in while Craig, Tim Robinson's like on the drums, and they get into this crazy back and forth with some of my favorite lines, where Connor O'Malley, when he talks about what kind of husband he would be to Craig's wife, he goes, "Man, I look at your wife, I say, oh my God, I'd love to just even be a non-sexual partner with her." You know what I mean? Like a business or something like that. It's so It's so funny. And he also has another quote or one of the exchanges at the party with, we should still be in Afghanistan. I don't know why we pulled out in the way we did. The whole movie, I mean, you could have easily nominated this in original screenplay.
Screenplay,
in my opinion.
I based on, we'll have to say this for another episode, but I don't know how I'm feeling about the 10 picture field anymore.
Yeah.
It always ends up seeming like it's just always the top 2 or 3, and the rest are like honorable mentions that we know are never going to have a chance of winning. And this is what, with the 10 picture field, I could have seen this movie getting nominated for Best Picture.
It's so good.
Yep.
Go see this movie. It's on HBO. Go see all of Tim Robinson stuff. I think you should leave us on Netflix. The Chair Company, season 1 is on HBO. That's really good.
So good.
Yeah.
So
he
good.
minds a lot of that. Like there's some real earnest, dramatic stuff in that with him that I'm like, damn, he's legitimately, he's a great actor.
4K? There's a 4K of this out, right?
I don't know if there's a 4K. I think maybe A24 put it out. They always do Blu-rays, and then I think their collector's editions are usually the 4Ks that they do.
Yeah, they're kind of finicky sometimes.
But there's for sure a Blu-ray /4K of this movie. I just want to watch that movie again. It just makes me laugh so hard.
All right, so that will do it for our 3 picks for the great renomination of 2026. Now, in doing this, of course, we did not pick a lot of movies. And so usually with the show, what we plan on doing is shouting out an honorable mention. So, Clint, is there an honorable mention for a renomination that you did not get into your top 3?
Yes. I would nominate 28 Years Later for production design.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I think the Bone Temple is one of the coolest things that a set designer has built in a long fucking time. And
iconic.
Yeah. And it carries over into the sequel, The Bone Temple. Yeah, no, I would totally. And you could take out Frankenstein or whatever.
My pick, actually, we saw this together, documentary, actually, Megadoc.
Yeah.
Megadoc was, so if you've seen, what the fuck?
Megalopolis.
Megalopolis.
Megaplop shit.
Easy for me to say. Megalopolis.
Yeah.
First off, if you haven't seen that 3-hour piece of shit, that's one of those so bad you need to watch it type movies. And I hear there's a traveling road show going on with it, but there is a documentary that has come out about the making of Megalopolis. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably have some idea of the history of this movie. Megadoc goes into way, way, way back. You see archival footage with people reading this script that you've never seen before. You get some real insight to that Shia LaBeouf guy.
Yeah.
And I thought it was an absolutely fascinating look. You know, he simultaneously has documentaries on one of the best movies ever made, Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
And then one of the worst movies ever made, Megalopolis. And they're both fascinating. So my pick would be Megadoc for a documentary, which I could have easily seen being put into the best documentary category.
Never understand the documentary nominations.
Considering we're doing documentaries that we just can't find anywhere to watch, really.
It's crazy. I love Megadoc. Aubrey Plaza is incredible. Her
oh my
behind
God,
the scenes stuff is incredible.
She's so good.
It's incredible.
So
those are good.
Those are some honorable mentions. Megadoc, and what was yours?
28 years later.
Because I wasn't listening at all.
Production design.
28 years later, production design. All right. So that will do it for this episode of 3 Picks. Look for us soon on Instagram. You can follow us
right now. By the time this comes out.
Coming soon, we'll have a series on our Oscar picks and Oscar talk over the next 2 weeks. And then our next full-length episode will be 3 characters from movies that we would want to get stuck in space with.
Yes. Obviously, Marty Supreme is not going to be on Chris's list.
Timmy! Okay, you gotta go do the space movie. I mean,
he was in Interstellar.
But I didn't get to go to space. Actually, I was only on the ground.
There's gonna be
and if you blink, you miss me. Not because I was in it so little, but because I was so short in it.
Well, Dune, you could take.
He was in Dune, wasn't he? He did a space epic. Yeah.
Oh, so tune in next time. See if one of us picks.
Oh, does Lisa Al-Ghalib make my crew? I don't know. Check in next time. I am Chris, the yoga teacher that watches movies and drinks beer.
And I am Clint. I'm just a songwriter who likes movies. Check out our Letterboxd, which we'll link to in the show notes. It's Beer Yoga Movies for Chris, and I'm just Clint T. And like, subscribe, follow, listen, make fun of us, tell us we're wrong, all that shit that the internet does.
I like comments that tell us how bad we're doing.
Yes, that really, it keeps me going.
Best form of feedback.
Yeah.
All
awesome.
Right. See y'all later.
Say bye, Ripley.
Just pick one, you can't just pick two. Oh no, you gotta pick three, or we ain't picking you. 3 Pics, the podcast.